Good evening and welcome to the Town Hall Get to Know broadcast. We certainly appreciate you taking time to join us this evening. I have a very special guest, the dynamic Chris Salem, with us this evening. What a dynamic gentleman, like I said. We want you to stick with us here. This is an LWN Media Productions. You can watch us on Roku. You can watch us on Amazon Fire, as well as Apple and Android TV by downloading the E360 TV app. We would love for you to watch it on your smart TV. You can check us out on e360tv.com as well under Positive Vibrations. This is the Town Hall Get to Know broadcast. And this program is about people who are making a positive impact in society. And these people are influential and they've got a story to tell. And so I'm very excited to have Chris with us this evening. He has done a bunch of great stuff, as a matter of fact. He is a highly authentic person and who, for over 4 years now, has had a special passion in helping and empowering and serving the business community, entrepreneurs in various different industries, as well as sales executives and coaches, authors and speakers, and many others. And he helps them take their business to the next level. And so if you're thinking about moving to the next level, you're going to want to tune in. Please don't change the channel. Stick with us. It's going to be a great broadcast. We certainly appreciate you. Chris has experienced a whole lot of success over a 26-year career as a senior sales executive selling media, aircraft, investing in businesses, and implementing residual income platforms. He's also dealt with some setbacks as well, and we can all deal with setbacks. But I think we're going to find out that setbacks, like I've mentioned in previous episodes, is the opportunity to learn and grow from. So we're going to get some great information. Failure is, in my book, one step closer to success. So we're talking about a success story tonight. And without further ado, I'd like you to give a warm town hall welcome to Mr. Chris Salem.
Stephen, what a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. We are so glad that you're here. I'd been thinking about this, Chris, for a long time, and finally just took the moment and reached out and said, would you be on the show? And it's like, yes. And it's like, I'm going, oh, fantastic. So thank you so very much. And so this show is about an opportunity to talk about success tonight, to talk about struggles and challenges and overcoming the obstacles that we might face, um, as well as some setbacks that we might experience, and then how do we deal with those setbacks. But why don't you help the viewers get to know you just a little bit better, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, a pleasure. Again, pleasure to be here. So my name is Chris Salem again, and I'm the happily married man to my wife, Maria Daniela Gutierrez Salem. Yes, that is her full name. And a proud father of my 13-year-old son, CJ Salem, who's very active in sports and very creative, and a proud father that love being part of his life in every aspect. And while I'm not with family, I'm one of those people that really enjoys really learning. I'm always learning, even though I'm a teacher and a coach. I'm also learning all the time, each and every day. So I'm always reading every morning. It's part of my morning routine. And when I'm out there helping others, I do this in the form of being an executive coach. I train and coach companies as well as a professional speaker in the areas of mindset, leadership, communications, and then also helping people to really, build their brands and their businesses simultaneously based on why they do what they do versus just what they do.
So are you working then with people that are really trying to define themselves and create this image or be fulfilling their purpose, and so you help them refine that?
Yeah, what we do, Stephen, is we first help them from a personal development side, to help them really build their level of confidence and self-esteem, building their foundation. So that means that if there are any limiting beliefs from their childhood that could be subconsciously holding them back, we work on first removing them to help build that foundation. So think of like a house. If you want to build a beautiful home, you have to first take the time to, to lay out, excavate the land. You have to build that foundation and take time to make it solid. So if
Right.
we're going to make a house that's going to be sustainable over time, we have to build that foundation first. So we do this with people to first build their foundation. I call it a success foundation. And then from there, we teach them how they can build their brands and businesses based upon why they do what they do versus what they do. What is compelling to the audience they serve? And the more compelling you are, the more likely people are going to connect with you based upon shared values. And when they decide they want to work with you on whatever level that may be, they're going to have a better experience. And when they have a better experience, they're going to refer people. So that's the process that we use to help build people and their businesses both simultaneously over a period of time, and then using different process systems and acceleration programs to help scale that to the point of exit. So we get involved in every life cycle of a person's business from A to Z, no matter if it's an individual or if it's a small business or corporation.
So it sounds like it's a well-rounded concept, and you mentioned, of course, starting with confidence within a
Yeah.
person, and that's a key ingredient to being able to be successful, isn't it? Is to have confidence in yourself and faith that you have the ability and or have the ability to reach out to others to become successful.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, there's, imposter syndrome, there's these limiting beliefs, and these are the things that happen subconsciously. We're not even aware of them that can really drag us down or self-sabotage certain things that we're working towards in our lives. They can sabotage our relationships, our well-being, and of course, our careers, and if we're in our own businesses. I know it did for me for the first 30 years of my life. So
Mhm.
these things are real. These are things that are again happening behind the scenes. Yet we can get to the root cause of them and remove them to replace them with better patterns, habits, and disciplines that will shape your success foundation to find that success. And it's not just about money; it's about fulfilling your purpose. It's about being an example for other people to do for themselves. There's no greater gift that you can give someone or people than being the example for themselves to do those things that can improve to become their better self. It's not about being the best.
Mhm.
It's about being your best. And it's about
Right.
progress, not perfection.
Yes, and so, we all have special talents, and so it's just a matter of refining those talents, and I've found that when we actually do something, that we enjoy, it no longer becomes work as well,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's
When I
beautiful.
can tell you, like when people ask me, Chris, I mean, do you like coaching? And I say, I love it. I feel when I'm on a Zoom call coaching someone, it's why I do what I do. See, when you're doing the what just becomes, on autopilot.
Right.
It's not a means to an end for me. It's something that I enjoy doing, something that I'll never retire from. I will do this to the day I die, as long as I can talk and have the energy to do so. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to take time for my family and do things, because I do. Work life harmony is not something I'm planning for when I retire. It's something that I do every day of my life. I make room for myself. I make room for my child, my son, my wife, and that's got to be something that has to be consistent through your life. You're not working to then do this stuff. You're working and experiencing this each and every day. You just got to have a roadmap. You got to have a blueprint. You got to have a plan. And these are the things that I didn't have these tools in my first 30 years, but I was able to kind of stumble across it and begin to master it. And the things that I help others to do for themselves by, being a resource and being the example for them to do for themselves.
So you say you've been in sales, executive sales most of your life. How did that help you move up the ladder with respect to success and then ultimately coaching? And as well, you're an author too. So you've written at least a couple books that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
How
I
did
mean, being an
sales?
exec, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Steve.
No, I was just going to say, so how did sales play a part in this?
Well, sales taught me a lot of things. It really taught me how to really understand people. But here was the thing. What it did first is it gave me an opportunity to begin to understand myself first, because I couldn't give what I didn't have. And because I'm a recovering codependent and a recovering perfectionist, I was so self-absorbed in my own struggle and my own misery, I couldn't get out of my own way. So I had to first begin to understand myself before I could understand other people. And thank God, when I got into sales, I was, experiencing all these issues and struggles back in my 20s. But that really gave me the opportunity to begin to look at myself. And then when I was able to really begin to work on myself, and they began to really be more attentive to other people in an interdependent versus a codependent way, I began to really begin to relate and understand others, not just respond to them. And I came from a place of empathy, not from a place of pleasing and enabling, because I was a good pleaser. And because I needed your validation back then, I needed to be, if I pleased you enough, you would validate me. But now, as being interdependent and really learning to relate and understand from empathy, you begin to really understand people, and sales gives you that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I always find that sales isn't about trying to persuade someone to see your point of view. Sales is about, again, asking questions, listening,
Yeah.
getting to know what really is driving that person emotionally behind the scenes. Where are the pain points? And using questions for them to answer their own questions so they can draw their own conclusions based upon those shared values that they connect with you on, that they feel that you're compelling to them. Now they want to work with you. They're selling themselves to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that is the best way to build a relationship, someone in a more sustainable way. And when they have a better experience, they refer people. So you're never going to be everything for everyone. And that was one thing that I didn't understand when I first started my sales career. I tried to sell something to anyone. It didn't matter. I would go out of my way to persuade why you should be doing this. But nonetheless, I found quickly that because of values, we're not always going to, have those shared values with everyone. So instead of trying to be everything for everyone, try to be something for someone, in this case, more than one person, where you relate on those shared values. And what I mean by that is I come from a place of, I'm transparent. I come from integrity and honesty. Does that mean everyone is going to have those same values? No. But if if they value trust, they value being ethical, and they value people that follow through, and that's important to them, those are shared values with my values. If somebody says that, hey, I just want to make all the money in the world for the sake of making money, and if that means that is at the expense of other people, well, that's on them, not me. Now, those would go against my values. I'm not saying that they're bad people. It's just that I'm not about making money on people. I'm about giving value to people, and the money is just a byproduct of that value. So it's just a question of, do our values align? That's the sandbox I play in, and that's where I spend the time adding value on a consistent basis to people to bring out their best, allowing them to do that for themselves, whether if they're an individual, group of people, or a company of any size.
I think that integrity and honesty is a key ingredient in earning somebody's trust. And so that they would be willing to even purchase what you have. And then I think you definitely mentioned it, because what you're actually doing is providing something that they need, and then asking these questions so that you can determine exactly what the best thing for their particular specific requirements would be. And so that's really awesome, because I know that for myself, the guy that I think is being honest with me, because we can kind of tell when somebody's not being honest. I think one of the great things that because I've been in sales all my life as well, is saying to a customer when you don't know the answer, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'll find out.
I
Right?
do that even to this day. I do that as a coach. I say, I don't know, but I'll find out, or I know somebody that does.
Yes,
People
exactly.
value that trust. So
Yeah.
it's so important.
Well, and I think that you're talking about wealth, and it's not necessarily financial wealth. There's more to wealth than just finances, correct?
Yeah, there is. It's not just how much money you have or your net worth or how much money you make. Wealth is also defined by, are you really serving your why, your purpose? And do you get up each and every day and you are glowing and you're vibrant and you want to get out there and do why you do what you do? That's a form of wealth. It's it's more than just the money. The money is just a byproduct of all these things why you do what you do and the value that you give to people. So yes, is it okay to aspire to make lots of money? Sure, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's, again, not at the expense of your well-being, not at the expense of other people. But,
Right.
Again, doing what, the more value that you can give and the more that you give out, you give without expectation, you receive without resistance. Doesn't mean when you give without expectation, you expect it back from the person you gave to. It comes back in other ways. It could be a compliment. It could be a simple thank you. It could be somebody wants to barter and they can't maybe afford your services, but they may barter with you where they'll provide something that you require, that you need. I had someone that actually painted my house in exchange for coaching. So think about that. I mean, I would have paid money to pay somebody to paint but they painted the inside of my house in exchange for coaching. So there's many ways we can give without expectation, but yet receive without resistance. In this case, I gave to someone who gave back, but it doesn't necessarily always mean that way. It might come back from somewhere else that had nothing to do with me. It just came back, and I don't reject it. I receive graciously with gratitude and being very humble about it. So those are
that's important. By giving, and I think you made a really great point there. Giving to somebody without that expectation of having to receive something back. How does that really affect that whole I would say abundance? I'll use that word. How does
it's
not expecting it create abundance?
So let me give you a story that can illustrate this, because this is a real story. This happened 2 years ago in the summer of 2019. So this is not too long ago. And I remember, this is before COVID, obviously, and I remember going to a Starbucks to meet a woman who ran a real estate agency. She was also the president of this Women's Leadership Council, and they were looking for a keynote speaker for one of their event. And the event was going to be in November of 2019. And so I got there a little early, and when I got there, I had brought my truck with me. And as I was, parked my truck, there was a guy that was parked next to me that was slightly on a slant in the way he parked. And I can remember, I needed to kill about 15 minutes. So I figured, well, I'll just, check my email real quick before I go in to meet this woman. And I said in the back of my mind, I hope the guy that's next to me, when he's backing out, he straightens his wheel out, and hopefully he won't clip the back of my bumper on my truck. And sure enough, as he's backing out, there's this little nudge. And I said, oh boy, well, he hit me. So I get out of the car, or my truck, and I walk over to the other side, and he sees me, and he doesn't know why I'm behind his car. And he's like, is there something wrong? I said, well, you hit my back of my bumper. And I said, it's an accident. He says, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that. And as a result, he was very well dressed. He got out of the car and he goes, I'm so sorry. I said, it's okay. You were parked on a slant and maybe you just misjudged, and it's fine. No, not a big deal. But he says, well, I understand if you have to call a police officer to file an accident report. And I said, well, normally, yes. I said, that's something that we would do because we don't know if there's any hidden damage here. And there really wasn't much. I probably could have buffed out this thing in a couple hours, or had a friend at a body shop do it for, $50 to $100. So the guy says, listen, I've caused you a problem today. And I said, accidents happen. He says, I have to go to a meeting. I'm happy to give you my license, my insurance. You can write it down. And I will give you $300 for your troubles. Now, I could have said, there's no need to do that. See, again, it wasn't about the money. This man gladly wanted to give $300 because he felt that he inconvenienced me in that situation. So he was being responsible. Now, I gladly received the $300, and I used a portion of that money to have that buffed out. And as he went on his way, I took it, obviously in hindsight, I took it to a shop. There was no hidden damage other than just buffing out the thing that cost about $125. He paid me $300. Now, here's the thing. I went into my meeting, had a great meeting with this woman. I even shared the story of what happened with her. And as we talked about that, we began to talk about the event, the speaking, what she was looking for in a keynote speaker. Okay, flash forward 4 weeks later. She calls me up and says, "Hey, congratulations. The committee has decided that we'd like to choose you to be our keynote speaker in November." And I said, "Wonderful. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I promise that I will come in and give extreme value to your women leaders, and they will have things to take away from this particular session." She goes, "Oh, by the way, I want to tell you one more thing. You remember when we met at Starbucks and we had that conversation? I remember I told you that I was having a little bit of struggle in my real estate business, like things had been slowed we're slowing down a little bit." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Last week," or I think she said a week and a half. I can't remember. It was a week and a half or a week before we talked. And she said, "I sold 2 homes that week that closed the same week. That has never happened in my career." Now, this gets back to the abundance factor. See, when the man hit my car and was gladly ready to pay $300, I gladly received the $300. So I'm not denying him, because I would be denying myself and him if I refused the money. And that could be a compliment as well, or anything. And when I went to go meet with this woman, she was now part of that proximity of where all this cycle is happening behind the scenes. And it ended up playing out for her. Now, I'm not saying that this is automatically going to guarantee that good things are going to happen all the time. But what I'm saying is, when you trust the process and you trust the laws of prosperity, and you can give without expectation and knowing to receive without resistance, you are doing everyone who is involved a favor, even to the giver, even to the person receiving, and the person that will then also receive at some point. That's what happened in this situation. Abundance was a perfect illustration of abundance, with that story. And that actually all happened 2 years ago. And
Wow.
and again, that's something that, again, I've seen happen in my own life over a 20-year period. And I've seen with a lot of people I know that I've coached that truly understood and really implemented that way of being on a daily basis. You just have to be it. You have to be it and do it and believe in it for to see the fruits of those efforts. Now, it doesn't mean life's always going to be, great. And it doesn't mean your business is always. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have challenges. But you're going to look at it in a different light. You're going to look at it as a way that you're learning and growing and becoming more, so you can be more grateful and appreciative of things when things get better. So it's just, again, it's a process, trusting the process.
I think what I'm hearing too is gratitude, and gratitude playing a major role here, without that expectation of really, having the universe answer back in a very positive manner for us.
Yes.
That is. Now, you talk about when you're working with people that you're solution oriented, and I love that, because it is about a step process. And so you look at the problem and then evolve an action plan from what is the problem, what are we trying to achieve, and then so it is a step process, correct?
Yes. This is a
Maybe.
process to really, change your way of thinking from a fixed to a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is the things that we do each and every day on autopilot, and is it serving us or not? Are we where we want to be with our overall well-being, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, occupationally, socially, our relationship with ourselves and other people? Are we in codependent versus interdependent relationships? What does our environment look like? Are we living in clutter, or are we living in more clarity and in organization? So all of these things that we have to be able, when we shift out of a fixed mindset operates in the past and the future. And this is where in the past and the future, fear resides. Fear triggers anxiety. Anxiety leads to worry. Worry can lead to feeling overwhelmed, feeling angry, feeling frustrated, feeling that you overthink things, and we can't make decisions swiftly, and all of the above. When we can learn to shift out of the past and the future, because limiting beliefs are from the past, they get projected into the future through a fixed mindset. This is why we repeat and we react to situations from negative emotions because of this pattern of how we think. But if we shift to more in the moment, we can change that, because a fixed mindset, again, is in the past and the future. It's tied to the expectation to the outcome. We are now tied to that expectation to the outcome. But if we come into the middle, if we come back into the present moment through a growth mindset, we trust the process. We learn to control what we can and what we know. We maximize that, and we let go of everything else. Now, it's easy to say that, but to do it's another thing. It takes practice. It takes a daily routine and discipline to get into that way of thinking over time. But when we're able to be in the moment, the results that we seek are just a byproduct of that process, of the things you can control and the things that you can't, letting go of that. And when we learn to really let go of what we can't control, we stay in the moment. We don't experience that level of worry. We don't feel that anxiety to the level that can paralyze us. And we tend to be more, we value our time to be more productive. We're not busy, but not productive. So these are all the different changes that can happen as a result of shifting our thinking from a fixed to a growth mindset.
And that makes a lot of sense. It is about living in the moment, is it not? Because, I mean, the past is gone already, but what we do actually in the present moment can affect the future.
Yes.
Yes.
Again, what you do right now is affecting your future.
Right.
And again, from a fixed mindset, we don't look at setbacks and challenges as things happening to us. It's happening for us. Sometimes when things look like they're falling apart around you, they're actually all coming together. Things have to come undone. If you look at the old, the old scribes for the samurai code. If you read that book, Becoming a Samurai, these go back centuries ago. They talk about death. Now, death isn't actual death. You're not dying, but death means that you're releasing the things that no longer serve you. You're trusting the process. So again, it's just being, articulated in different ways and how people can grasp and understand it. That's all it is. So when we look at things that happen in our lives that are happening that may not be working out, or in our businesses, we have to look at the blessings and opportunities disguised in it. Because if you trust the process and stick with what you can control during that time, just a matter of time before something you're gonna see the silver lining or the rainbow over the hill, whatever that may be to you. You're gonna experience that. But see, a lot of people will give up during that time. They'll let go. They'll quit. They'll get caught up in pity, get caught up in complaining, and allowing their fear to keep them away or from becoming what they are capable of being.
That's very well said. I want everybody to stick with us. We're going to hear from our sponsors. A quick word from our sponsors. We're going to be back with Chris Salem. He is a business leader and a business advisor, a keynote speaker, prosperity coach, as well as a wellness advocate. We're talking about mindset. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about a growth mindset and the things that we might be challenged by and how to overcome these challenges, to use that, like Chris just mentioned, as an opportunity versus being in a situation where we're going, that sucks, give up and quit, because a lot of people will quit right before you're about ready to break through. So we're going to be talking about that. Let's just hear from our sponsors.
let our bathtub go too long. It had rust in it. It had deep pitting in it. There were chips. I, quite frankly, thought it was unrepairable.
Total Coatings is a family-owned and operated bathtub and shower refinishing company. We've been around since 2006, but we use a exclusive non-toxic porcelain coating that was developed over 60 years ago by a franchise in California. So the product is very well established. We refinish bathtubs, showers, wall tile, countertops, and even sinks. Customers want to know what makes our product different, and that's, of course, the exclusive non-toxic porcelain. We also don't acid etch the surface, so you don't have to leave your home because of noxious fumes.
I was completely and utterly shocked. It looked like a brand new bathtub. I would recommend Total Coatings to anybody.
Well, we want to thank our sponsors. They help to make this broadcast possible. For all of your heating, air conditioning, cooling. We need it here in Florida, as well as electrical and plumbing needs. Cool Today has the answers for you, as well as Total Coatings, making your bathtubs look like brand new, and architectural salvage. If you're doing some remodeling, they have some fantastic stuff down there. Please tell them that you saw this commercial here on the Town Hall Get to Know. We certainly as well appreciate E360 TV. Just a reminder that you can watch this on your smart TV if you have Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple, or Android TV by downloading the E360 TV app. You can find us online at e360tv.com under Positive Vibrations. Make sure to watch the Town Hall Get to Knows, as well as the Sunrise Daybreakers, our morning connection to nature, connection to source, as well as community. Now, we've been talking with Chris Salem this evening. He's such a dynamic gentleman. We've been talking about growth mindset. We've been talking about the things that he does to help business leaders to be able to become successful, and how it's so important to actually look at maybe the things that are holding us back, and then looking at what we're trying to achieve, and then setting an action plan to actually achieve those dreams and goals that we have. So I'd like to bring him back in here. Chris, we certainly appreciate what you've been sharing with us tonight. You were talking about a growth mindset. So what I'd like you to do maybe is explain a little bit more to the viewers about this growth mindset, and how they might release these self-limiting thinking or thoughts, that they might have that is holding them back from becoming that best person that they can possibly be.
Yeah, absolutely. So a growth mindset, again, is the ability to come out of your comfort zone, to learn to be present, to learn how to trust the process, of to control what you can and what you know, maximize that, and letting go of anything beyond your control. You can control your attitude, your behavior, your communication, and your action. You can't control how someone's going to perceive your communication. You can't control how they're going to react to it. You can't control their attitude, their behavior. You can't control COVID. You can't control the economy. You can't control if someone doesn't buy something from you in your business. So these are the things that a growth mindset recognizes, trusting the process. Now, fixed mindset, again, is operating in the past and the future, tied to limited beliefs from the past and getting projected into the future, which then creates a level of worry and anxiety that can then lead to either procrastinating, not taking action, or being busy but not productive. Chasing the shiny object syndrome. You've heard of that, where you start one thing and then you're off chasing something else. We see that all the time. So what are some of the ways that we can shift from a fixed to a growth mindset? Well, it's like with anything. We can manage the problem or we can operate in the solution. So it's just like an assembly line. We can produce widgets with bottlenecks. They may not be as efficient, may not be the best of quality, but it still can produce. It's how most of people live their lives and how most businesses operate throughout their, the duration of the life cycle of a business. They manage the problem. They don't operate from the solution. But what if we can remove those bottlenecks? What if we can develop a process that we can begin to remove bottlenecks and then to be proactive rather than reactive, to recognize when there are challenges, we can be better prepared to learn and grow and then operate from a better solution. So again, limiting beliefs are the root cause, again, to what holds people back, and they come from your childhood. These are often things that we observe in our parents when we were growing up during our development years. So I know for me, I grew up in a codependent home. I mean, there were certain great things that served me. I learned from my mother and my father. I had a great work ethic. I learned that from both of them. That was a positive thing. But there's certain things I picked up from both of them that worked against me. But the one parent that really had a dramatic impact on my limiting beliefs was my father. My father grew up poor, so he grew up saying to himself that I will do whatever it takes to be successful and rich. He grew up always being, the black sheep of the family. His father neglected him, didn't pay enough attention. So thus, my father didn't know how to be a father to his own kids. Now, I didn't know this at the time. I just thought my dad didn't have interest in me and my brother. We didn't know we were kids. But as a reflection of that, I grew up just not having any direction. I was always trying to get that attention from my father. And it never came. It was never good enough. He would make promises, never fulfill them. And as a result of that, I grew up very angry. I was always seeking this validation in other people. Since I couldn't get it from him, that it grew into a point when I became a teenager and then an adult, I would find it in other people. Now, what happens with expectations? They go unfulfilled many times. They never live up to what we envision them to be. And as a result of that, I always felt let down. I had a passive-aggressive behavior in terms of my behavior and my communication. When I was more passive, I would go out of my way to please and enable you. Because if I just did that enough, you would like me and acknowledge me for everything I did for you and all the great things that represented the things that I did for you. Now, when I was aggressive, that meant that I would put these high expectations onto you. And when things didn't go right, it was your fault, or the company I worked for, or society, or the world in general. It was not my fault. I did my part, and I had no part in why things weren't working out. So limiting beliefs are so powerful in how they impact our self-esteem, because my self-esteem was down here. Even though I projected myself to be here, I was down here. They impact your self-esteem, your confidence. They impact your communication with yourself. You're listening now to your inner critic rather than your inner champion. It affects your ability to relate to other people. It affects, again, the overall relationship with others. It affects our decision-making ability, our ability to take certain risks in life. So when we feel stuck and we're not getting ahead and we're not getting to where we want to be, we keep comparing ourselves to everyone. Then we become resentful of other people. That's all a result of limiting beliefs. When we can learn to say that the only person I need to focus on to get over this is me. The answers are not outside of myself. So I had to really hit rock bottom. I struggled with 12 years of addiction through alcohol, drugs, and sexual addiction as a way to escape the anger that was a byproduct of again, those limiting beliefs that impacted everything in my life that wasn't working. I was always reacting to things. I was always operating in the problem. It just seemed that life could never get on track for me. I would start off strong and then I would just self-sabotage everything. Again, that was my self-esteem and confidence.
Can I stop you there? That's so important, because I know even for myself, that's what I used to do. Things would get good. And then all of a sudden, man, I'd tear it down. I'd tear it down. So why are people doing that? Let's help them. If somebody's experiencing that type of behavior, what would you tell them?
I would say that, again, that give yourself permission that whatever has happened has happened. Look at them as learning experiences. You are here right now. That is in the past. It's to recognize that in everything that in our lives, we weren't, it's not like when we came into this world that, we were born, let's say we were born into poverty. We didn't ask for that. It is what it is. But yet there's certain things that you can't control, but there are things that you can. your attitude. We talked about attitude, your behavior, communication, ability to take action. There's always something you can make something better in any given situation. But a lot of times, if we're in a fixed mindset, we think that's not possible. We are hostage to our thoughts. We are hostage to our emotions. And that's not the case. We can't control our thoughts, but we can control our emotions and how we react to those thoughts. Different story. So with that being said, when we feel that when we feel like we're self-sabotaging, it's to recognize that these things go back to our childhood, tied to those limited beliefs. In this case, for me, it was the need for validation. It went back to my father.
Mhm.
I had to forgive my father because he couldn't give what he didn't have. It wasn't like he was a bad person. It wasn't like he did this intentionally. He just didn't know how to. He didn't know how to control his emotions. He would yell and scream when he got angry because that's what he grew up with. We repeat what we observe. So I learned that when I went through this process, if I was going to be a better father, I had to do the direct opposite of everything I learned to not do that to my own son. So again, do I make mistakes? Absolutely. I'm human. We're never going to be perfect. It's progress. But I can tell you, I'm in a much better place than I was 20-something years ago. But with that being said, we can release those limited beliefs. And it's not just forgiving the source. In this case, it was my father. It might be your mom, your dad. It could be somebody else that played an instrumental role in your development. I had to forgive myself, more importantly. I had to release that anger that was holding me down for so many years. That took a long time to do. That took me 2 years to overcome my limiting beliefs. It's easy to say it, and then you think that, I forgive myself, and you think it's all done. No. The reason why you know when you have released your limiting beliefs is when the triggering events create that fear that lead to those negative emotions that you experience. Mine was anger. If that anger comes again at me and sticks with me for a period of time, that means I haven't released my limiting beliefs. See, now when something that doesn't happen that I don't like, when I feel that anger, it hits me for a second and then goes away. I come into the moment and I realize I can't control this. It is what it is. Yeah, go ahead.
So part of it is this feeling that we may not deserve that of what we're trying to achieve. And that's why we end up tearing it down. And that's really coming from subconscious, isn't it? It's not
subconscious. I'll give you a good example of this, Steve. We had a windstorm here last week, and I had a tree in my backyard that came down. Now, that tree could have either went into my neighbor's lawn because it was right on the line, or it could went in my yard.
Okay.
So what did it do? It went into my yard, and it fell on a portion of my fence on my tennis court.
Okay.
Damaged the fence. I got to repair it. Now, if that were me 23 years ago, I would have been irate. I would have been angry for a week. I would have probably got into a car and got into a fight because I would have had road rage. But again, all of these things, it had nothing to do with the tree, like I thought, or the tree hitting the fence. It would have been, again, because of those limiting beliefs and that anger I had towards my father. That's what I kept getting angry about, but not realizing that it kept playing itself out in all these different situations that were just triggering events. I had to release all that. I had to let go of that. So now when the tree hit my thing last week, I said, well, it is what it is. Was this what I was hoping to wake up today and find in my backyard? No. But nonetheless, I looked at it. Well, hey, now I don't have to worry about taking that tree. The tree's down. I can cut it down, throw it in the backyard. All I got to do now is, get a stump grinder, get rid of the root, where the tree popped out of its root, and then repair the fence. I'll have a guy come in.
You got some free firewood.
And I got free firewood. You look for the goodness in those setbacks. And again, this is something minor. There could be something even far worse than this. But what I'm saying, there's always a reason when things happen. They're happening for you, not to you. It's a change of way you look at things.
And that's beautifully said. Because I know that for myself in the past, it was always somebody's fault or the tree's fault or the neighbor trimmed it wrong, so I made it too heavy on one side, so there was too much wind, and instead of taking accountability for our own actions. And so it is a key of a lot of the things that we were taught, and I think you made a good point. It wasn't that maybe that was taught within, it wasn't taught to us with malintent. It was what they knew.
Yeah.
And then it's now up to us to be able to rethink that and then think it through to a positive outcome, even though it might be that challenge or that negative situation.
Absolutely. I mean, think about when you can do this, you can dramatically improve your relationships with yourself, with your spouse, your partner, your children, with people that work for you, people that you work with, people you work for, people in your community. They impact everything in a positive way. Now, sometimes that may mean you might be in a relationship with someone that's perhaps toxic, that you're doing your part to get better, but that person now is, threatened by your sobriety or your progress. And I've seen this happen where sometimes where maybe it's time to move on. That might not seem like a good thing, but in essence, it might be, because now you're helping that person to eventually in time get out of their own way to help themselves. Because if you stayed in it, you're just enabling them to sit in their codependency and their misery and keep pointing the finger at you. So there's always sometimes when to stay and when to leave.
Yeah.
Because
I wanted you to address that for the viewers, is that because I know that at one point I was certainly codependent in my relationship.
Yeah, me too.
And versus interdependent. So I'd love for you to clarify that.
Yeah, so I'll
talk about the negatives of the codependency versus the interdependency that makes it more successful.
Yeah. Codependent, again, means that our emotions and the things that we need are dependent upon other people. So, and again, we we're in the past and the future, that we're tied to the expectation to the outcome. Mm-hmm. But if we could change our thinking now to more interdependent, okay, these are the things that I'm good at. These are the things that I'm not. Now, sometimes we do have to depend upon certain people to do things. I'm not a plumber, so I'm not going to fix a major plumbing thing. So I'm going to have to hire someone to come in and do that. But in a way, that is not like oh my God, I need you. It's again that if the plumber comes, great. If the plumber doesn't, well, I guess I got to call another plumber. That's all.
Right.
It'll get done. I'm not tied to the expectation because the first plumber blew me off and didn't come, because that happens a lot. It happens. You see this every day in life, that somebody says they're going to come and then they don't come. I could have gotten angry, ruined my whole day, would have lowered my production. I could have gotten into a fight with my wife or my son as a result of it, and it throws off your whole day. But if we can then now shift our way of thinking into the present moment, using meditation and journaling as a way to help us do that. Meditation and journaling is what gets us to the root cause of our limiting beliefs, to release them. And at the same token, helps to build and sustain our success foundation. It leads to other better habits and disciplines that will serve us. But when I can be present, now I can be more focused on what can I make work in this situation? What can I do within my control to make this happen?
That's beautiful.
And then let go of everything else. The results will be what they're going to be as a result of me doing my part and letting go of the rest. Whatever that means to you, whatever your faith is, higher power, process. I call it the process. Trusting the process.
Yeah.
But when we can really do that, and again, that means now you're shifting towards interdependency. So interdependency means that we understand your role, your duty, and what you're accountable for in that any given situation, as a parent, as a spouse, a partner, as a CEO of your company, as a person you work with, a person you work for. You understand your role and your duty, and you're accountable for it. That's all you have to do. And then that if other people are doing the same for themselves, and yet you can come together, that is an interdependent relationship. It's built on empathy and kindness, not on pleasing and enabling others. If I went out of my way and to please and enable my wife, and honey, I'm going to do everything I can to make you laugh and to make you happy, and that way you'll be happy. That might sound like that somebody might go, oh, that's wonderful. He's such a nice guy. Not really. I'd be actually doing my wife a disservice if I did that, because I'm forcing her not that she can't make herself happy. I have to make her happy. That's going to be exhausting to me, and that's going to lead to a strained relationship that we will eventually lead to divorce. Interdependency means we own our roles, we own our duties, we are accountable for it, yet we come together and to leverage our strengths, offset our weaknesses, to do bigger and better things. That's interdependent. My happiness is my responsibility, not my wife. My
I
wife's
agree.
happiness is her responsibility. We just come together and share it. That's all.
And that's where the teamwork comes in.
There's a
That's
team.
where the share. Yeah,
That's
that's
where
where.
winning teams are built.
Yeah,
You look
winning
at
teams
the
are built
teams
right
that
there,
go to the
folks.
postseason every year. That's how their environments, they're built on interdependent environments versus codependent environments, where you have all the superstars, but all they care about is their own stats. They care about their own playing time. They don't care about the other roles and duties of the other teams. And then you wonder why, with all that talent, they're not going to the postseason. It's the teams that don't necessarily have the talent. It's the teams that know how to understand their roles and duties. They communicate effectively. They share rather than tell when to do something. And they're able to do this consistently with having a daily routine, being disciplined to grow and prosper. It's no different in your life, your relationships, how you do business. It's the same principles, no different.
Excellent. Now, we're running down on time here, but I wanted to hit and talk about your books real quickly here, and then
Yeah.
let you have some closing thoughts for the viewers as well. You've written a couple books. I believe the first one was.
Well, no, that's the second book. That the first book was Master You're In. There you go.
Oh, that's the first one. Okay.
That's the first book. Yeah.
Okay. So let's take a look at Master Your Inner Self, right?
Master Your Inner.
Excuse
Yes.
me. So you were talking about that, and us being our own worst critic, which is one of the things I suffered from for a long time. Tell us a little bit about that quick book. Let's pop that up.
Yeah, this book will share my personal experience overcoming limiting beliefs. I share some other stories, and I provide a kind of a blueprint to overcome limiting beliefs for increasing mental toughness and peak performance. And then I use a lot of the principles that I shared in Jack Canfield's book, Mastering the Art of Success, that I did with Jack. And I've collaborated with other people in many other books in these particular areas. So I've appeared in many podcasts and radio shows. I have my own radio show, Sustainable Success, on the Voice America Influencers channel, and we talk to leading experts about all these areas that we're talking about here, and many other things that apply to business and your well-being and relationships in everyday life.
That's really something to write a book with Jack Canfield. I mean, and so folks, if you don't know, he wrote the Chicken Soup books. Really awesome. Absolutely. So you really are a superstar. I'll just say that, Chris. You've done such a dynamic job at understanding what it takes to be successful. Why don't you just impart some wisdom, final words, and kind of sum it up for the viewers?
Yeah, I would say that again. It doesn't matter where you are in your life or your business right now. You're here right now. Let today be the first step towards really becoming your best, not to be the best, but to be your best, whether if that's you personally and then your business. It always starts with you first before your business. You have to become more for your business to become more. People buy you, not your business first. So I would say that again is just recognizing if you're not where you want to be, that's okay. Make today the first step that you're going to accept where you are and make a commitment to a process that's going to allow you to get out of the problem into the solution. And it's one day at a time. Again, the old AA principle of one day at a time. And that's what you got to do. You just got to show up and be consistent. You're going to fall down. You're going to, forget to do certain things. You're going to have to get back on the horse, but it's all part of the process. And when you do that, and you trust that process, what you become, as the late Jim Rohn used to say, is everything that you could possibly imagine that you would desire to be if you just show up and do your part. Trust the process, do your part, let go of the rest. That's all you have to do.
Beautiful. Yes, it takes determination and dedication and getting back up. It certainly does. Well, that's really wonderful that you have shared this with the viewers. I'm just so glad that you took time to join us tonight. I really, truly am honored, Chris. It's been enlightening. And folks, if you would like to, please do reach out. Let's get his books. I'll tell you what. So the most recent book is
I would say Master You're In, Critic is the book that you really wanted. That's going to give them more insight to everything we talked about. That's the book that you want to grab.
Okay, grab that, and they can get that on Amazon, correct?
You can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, or Audible. You can listen. You can use the audio. You can listen to the book in your car.
There you go. That's a great way to do a book, isn't it? Well, we really appreciate you sharing this evening. Thank you so very much. It's been, like I said, an enlightening experience here. I hope the viewers have really enjoyed this. Remember, if you just happen to be coming in, go back, watch the replay. You can catch it on e360tv.com. You can also catch it on our website, the lwnfoundation.org, under live streams. It'll be there as well, and we'll get it up on YouTube too. So we want to thank our viewers for taking time to join us. We know that your time is valuable. We hope that you have found some golden nugget within all this information that Chris has shared with us to be able to apply that to your life and start to achieve your dreams and goals. And that's kind of what Chris just said. Hey, you got to just start today. Don't wait. Take action today. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, Chris.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Pleasure to be here tonight.
It has been a great pleasure. And folks, remember to go ahead, reach out to Chris. He is available to coach as well as advise if you have business questions and things like that. We've been running the ticker up there. Do join us. We're every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We've got Dr. Jenny coming up on Wednesday. We've got Adam coming up on Friday. Some of you may have seen Adam in the past. We're going to be talking about mental health issues on Friday and overcoming obstacles, because that's kind of like the theme. It's all these success stories about people who overcome their obstacles, and you can do it too. We believe in you. God bless everybody. Thank you for joining us, and have a great evening.